Wait a minute, I hear something.
Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Blueberry News! Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Yeah!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Dr. Movie, and we got a good one for you this time because we're going to talk about a Larry Cohen classic. I love me some Larry Cohen. Talking about a guy that can deliver a message on a low budget. I don't know. I think Larry Cohen is one of the most underrated directors of our time. And this movie kind of proves my point. So what if you took The Blob and mixed it with Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but then gave it the George Romero, Dawn of the Dead consumer angle, and mix that all together? What do you get? You get the stuff, because enough is never enough. Yes, the classic 1985 movie, The Stuff, horror/sci-fi, that really, again, points the finger at ourselves. It makes us take the fingers and point them back and take a good look at the things that we do. And ironically enough, just a little insight, I'm doing what they call the carnivore diet, right? The lion diet or whatever. It's not really the lion diet. I'm doing just straight carnivore. For healing, I've got a hip issue, and they say I have to have hip surgery. So to avoid that, you try things, right? And wow, I'm telling you, I know people think it's just another fad, but the things that this carnivore diet does for you, it gets you off the junk, right? Gets you off sugar, which, let's face it, that's what this movie is about. It's about the government and FDA, dropping down the regulations because big corporate wants to make the money, and they're willing to sell everybody stuff that's going to kill them in order to make a buck. That's what we're talking about here. I mean, right in your face. It's exactly what is going on here, which is scary because that's how it is. Yeah. So substitute the word sugar with the stuff, and you've got the exact same story. So, anywho, like I said, Larry Cohen, director. Come on, take your pick. Q, God Told Me To, It's Alive. The guy's just, I don't know. He's just a great director. Let's see here. A private detective investigates a new consumer tasty treat that's absolutely delicious and just possibly lethal. Yeah. So surely you've seen this movie, right? I mean, if you're if you're not a horror fan, I get it. But if you're a horror fan, you have to have seen this movie. I mean, it's a must watch, right? It has a 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb, which, okay, that's about right for most people. Kind of middle of the road, but a little better than middle of the road. Let's see here. We got a why to watch. It's surreal, surreal and gross. Okay. The Stuff is a hugely enjoyable 80s quickie that certainly appealed to numerous fans of undemanding horror. Well, it's funny because you feel like it's just kind of there. But again, the underlying message is more true than what we get out of most horror movies. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird balance. And I think most of Cohen's work is that way. Until you really think about what you watch and you go, oh, I get what you're saying there, King, right? Let's see here. The Stuff is not a great movie, but it's definitely a fun one and well worth a watch. Yeah, I mean, again, low budget. That's what he's known for, but still sticking the landing. This one kind of says the same thing. The Stuff isn't an amazing movie, but I've seen it a couple of times and it's fun enough. So again, I think people are missing, the landing here, the purpose. Yes, it is fun. I mean, it's who doesn't want to see a movie where people are chased by a big blob of white ice cream, right? I mean, that's basically what you got here. So, as far as a cast, everybody and their mom is in this movie, right? So, just a run through here. We got the Bloom brothers, which are the kids that are in this household, and Scott Bloom, whose name is Jason in the movie, opens the fridge one night and notices that the stuff container has been turned over, and it starts moving across the fridge, and it pulls itself back in the cup to hide. So he's like, oh, wait a minute. So yeah, you got these two brothers that are actually brothers in the movie playing brothers. So that's kind of different. We got Michael Moriarty in this, who's our main character, is the detective. Mo, or David, in the movie. You got Paul Sorvino in this as the colonel that comes into play later on. You got Garrett Morris from the old Saturday Night Live cast. All kinds of cameos. Brooke Adams, which, I mean, the original, or not the original, the 78, 79 version of Invasion Body Snatchers, which, again, there's no doubt that we're playing in that field of being taken over by an unnatural force, right? We got Abe Vigoda in this, Fish himself from Barney Miller and Everything Under the Sun. Patrick O'Neill, Lorraine Landon. I mean, it's just it's a star-studded cameo cast. Mira Sorvino, Danny Aiello's in this. I mean, it seems like every scene you're seeing somebody. You've even got the little lady from the Where's the Beef commercials for Wendy's. Says, she does a commercial where it's Where's the Stuff, right? So they're really playing into, this thing being a TV advertised major product. And, they really play on that. So, but yeah, in a nutshell, this thing is some guys are down at, looks like a mining company, and this guy sees something bubbling up out of the ground, and he's dumb enough to reach his fingers down there and get some of it and eat some of it, and he's like, wow, this is really good. And that leads to the discovery of this material, and it gets bought up and shipped out in containers, and it's called the Stuff. Low calorie, and like I said, enough is never enough, so you just can't stop eating it. You become totally addicted to it. So it's one thing to point out that, that part of it, but the other part is it's a living organism, and it takes you over, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, to where now you're a part of, you can sense each other that are eating this stuff, and you're kind of a cult that's trying to protect the stuff, because the stuff wants to live, and it's using humans to do so. And it's also has the ability to kind of jump from body to body whenever something happens to the body. I mean, it's got all those things in it. And like I said, the young boy sees this in his fridge. His parents think he's crazy. As the movie goes on, he's trying to tell his family not to eat the stuff, and they end up forcing him to eat the stuff. He notices that all the food in the fridge and in the cabinets has been thrown away, and it's nothing but the stuff now. And there's a trash bag over there. There's nothing but empty containers of the stuff, where that's all the family is eating continuously. And the boy won't eat the stuff, so they send him up to his room for punishment, and he can't come down until he'll eat some. So they give him some, and he takes it upstairs. He dumps it in the toilet, and tries to flush it, and it starts trying to get out of the toilet itself because it's a threat to it. But he gets rid of it, and then he puts shaving cream in the container, goes downstairs to show the family that, hey, no, everything's good. I'm eating it. See. And then the family catches on to it. The boy runs away from home. And before all that, you get the story where this investigator, or bounty hunter, I guess you'd say, has been hired to go find out the story behind the stuff. Because another company is wanting to try to capitalize on it, you know. And he finds out that, wow, there's a lot more to this than it should be, and we need to stop it. So he and the boy and a young lady that has helped promote this stuff, who now realizes that this is not a good thing. She's kind of the person that made it famous by, you know, advertisements and stuff. The three of them try to stop it, but you're dealing with a whole group of people that are protective. There's a whole lake of this stuff now that they're pulling from. And, you know, there's crews, and they're hired by these big money people. It is everything that I just talked about with the way the food industry is, or take your pick, gas industry, oil industry, pharmaceutical industry, drug industry. It's all the same. It is all the same. It's all about making the money. Hate to bust your bubble, but none of them care one thing about you. They only care about making $1. You are an idiot if you think that the healthcare industry wants you to be healthy. If you were healthy, they wouldn't make money. Think about that. Again, hate getting political, but come on, it is what it is. Do you know that breakfast was invented? Right? People used to not eat breakfast. You know who invented it? A young man whose last name was Kellogg. Breakfast became a thing because he went around and got doctors to say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Actually paid them to say that breakfast, how many times have you heard that in your life? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? It's a staple, we think. It's not true. It's made up. But we've taken it on to be the truth. And it was all to sell cereal, believe it or not. Sure, people ate breakfast before, but they didn't really push it as this thing, right? Normally you waited later on in the day. But now it's like, oh, no, you got to have 3 meals a day. Well, you know why? Because everybody gets paid either by the people that are paying you to say the thing or the people that are making the product. So that whole consumerism thing can be dangerous, you know, when it's in the hands of the wrong people. So, anywho, didn't mean to get off on that, but that's exactly what this movie is telling you. Is doesn't matter how dangerous it is to you, even if it starts killing people. If the right people are paid off, nobody will ever say anything about it. Sad but true. But yeah, this lays heavy in this movie, and like I said, you get the small group of 3 people trying to stop it. They go to the actual lake of this stuff and try to disrupt the production. Then all of your people that work for the stuff are trying to kill our main 3 characters. And then you run into Garrett Morris, who's a guy that used to be the king of making treats, the chocolate chip, well, I can't remember what they called him, but chocolate chip king, or, you know, chocolate chip Roy or something like that. And, you know, his whole business has folded because everybody just left him and went for the stuff. And he's trying to figure out why, so he gets involved. And there's a small military group that comes into play later on that are willing to help our main characters try to right this wrong. And that, for the most part, is this movie, right? There is some pretty good effects with the stuff. There's one scene in particular where it's the Blob. Let's just face it. It's the Blob, where it throws this guy up against the wall. They also find out that if you set fire to this stuff, it freaks out. So there's some interesting plays here. But everywhere that our characters go, people know that they're trying to stop the production of the stuff, or the stuff can sense them and tries to kill them. So I don't know, man. It's pretty interesting. Again, I think if you really think about what they're saying and you apply that to our everyday life, there's a whole lot of truth to this movie. So beware the stuff, folks. Beware the stuff. And not necessarily the stuff from this movie, just the stuff that's out there. Can you really trust people just because they're a smiling face on the TV and saying, "Oh, trust me, I'm not lying. Trust the science." Right? Yeah, made up science. Anywho, take that with a grain of salt. And, but yeah, this is a horror classic that still rings true when you think about it. Yeah, some of the effects are a little goofy by today's standards, but again, 1985, independent film, and I don't know, it still delivers. It's still fun to watch. I think so anyways. I give this a kind of the same 3.5 out of 5, and find it very enjoyable, and again, it sticks the landing. So if you're not familiar with much Larry Cohen stuff, I recommend that you just start looking up his movies and checking them out. Of course, this one's on Tubi. Several of his movies are on Tubi, so you may want to check it out. There's a killer documentary about him as well, and get to know him, because he's pretty important. He's one of the most important people you've never heard of. All right, folks, that's it for this one. We will check you later. Adios.